This is what we do.
Doesn't feel like work, but compared to what we're doing outside, it kind of does.
All right, so you went from $0, you were broke,
Yep.
no appetizers from the menus, to what?
Like I would say everything started with digital marketing. I failed at the agency. I went into drop shipping, and that's when I made close to like $500,000 drop shipping. And then as a total in my entrepreneurial journey, it's definitely between like $2.5 to $4 million.
Okay. But dropshipping was the thing that you started with.
Dropshipping was the beginning of everything because I feel like it's such a great business model to like you know for sure, it's such a great stepping stone. Some people stay in it and become successful in it forever. We both seen a lot of people use it as like a stepping stone because it's very low entry, like the barrier to entry is so low, but the potential for profit is so high that it's like, I think the most appealing business venture out there.
So I have a video going out before this video, and it's every single possible business you could start. And I list off like 35 ideas, and agency, dropshipping, affiliate marketing, FBA, all of that's in there. And it's for beginners. And it's like, my idea is everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and you have to play into those strengths to make something work as a beginner. Why do you think you were successful with it?
So it worked for me because at the time I was actually reading a book by Russell Brunson called, I wish I could remember the book now, but it was about his origins of ClickFunnels now, .com Secrets. Mm-hmm. And in .com Secrets, something that stood out to me was he said websites are built to show off and funnels are built to convert. I'm like, that's interesting. So this was like early 2017 when people were doing general stores. And so I took that as, okay, most people are doing websites right now. I'm wondering if what he's talking about in this book about funneling can still be applicable to drop shipping. And I've always been of the mentality of not only am I willing to do things different than anybody else, I prefer to do things way different than anybody else. And so I decided, I'm like, there might be something to this. So because of my education that I was doing outside of drop shipping, and then also the willingness to try things differently, because so many people are just like, oh, that would never work. No one's done it that way. When I find stuff like that, like when I Googled one product dropshipping and didn't see any results for it, I knew I had something special. And so I'd say that was the reason I found success, because not only was I willing to do things a different way than most people, but I was actually well knowing that by doing things differently, I would be rewarded differently than the most people, because most people who try dropshipping fail for that reason.
Obviously, dropshipping has changed a lot since then, since 2017. That's been like 5 years. What about right now, as people are watching this? Would you encourage somebody to try dropshipping or e-com?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about dropshipping right now is before you had to like start your store, and then it was Facebook ads. You know this, like it was big Facebook ads culture back then. That was the main driving factor to all traffic in dropshipping or e-commerce in general. But now with these apps, say TikTok or even Etsy or Pinterest, these algorithms are so powerful that not only can you start your store for pretty much no money because you get a free trial with Shopify, but you can also post the content that you can find online onto these, say like TikTok, for example, and then if it hits the algorithm right, if you make the right video and that goes viral, so that can set the foundation for a brand, that can set even just the start of your revenue generation so you can eventually sell that store. And this is all at the cost of $0. So like we were talking in the car about how like the majority, I think it's like 68% of Americans don't have more than like, I think $4,000 or...
It's $1,000.
It's $1,000 in their bank account.
In savings, yeah.
And so I definitely feel for those people, because I remember only 6 years ago, I had $9 cash and $18 in my bank account, and I still decided I'm gonna go to the bars, right? And at the time they were doing $8 unlimited. And so when I got there, they said it's actually upgraded to $10. And I'm like, well, I'll go get money from the ATM. I realized I couldn't get money from the ATM because I didn't have even $20 in it. And so I feel like a lot of people maybe not are in that extreme of situations, but they're in similar situations where they'll hear us talk about an online business, and then they'll be like, well, whether it's true or not, because a lot of people just give themselves an excuse not to try something. Well, I don't really have the money to start that. That's the biggest thing. I don't have the money. Well, in today's world, you can leverage these algorithmic apps, the same apps that are making people go insanely viral, like the D'Amelios and everything. Like imagine if the D'Amelios had to do that through paid advertisement. That would never work. So what the D'Amelios did for their family, you can do with a product that you're not even owning from China because you're drop shipping. And it could literally change your entire life with a very, very low cost of barrier, basically $0 if you choose to do it that way.
I want you to talk more about that. You said algorithmic dropshipping. Up until right now, you've mentioned it like 2 or 3 times, but even now, like I don't have like a full framework of what you mean by that. I think I understand what it is, but can you explain it, like the fundamental idea of it to me and everybody watching?
So if you look at like an app like TikTok, TikTok's the king of algorithms. Like they know everything about you. They know the websites you're going to. They know the people you're talking to. They know the areas you're going to. It's actually a little creepy. I choose to be a user, not a consumer of TikTok specifically, but the algorithm is so powerful. When I talk about algorithmic advertising through drop shipping, that's a free way because you're using their algorithm, not a paid, like a paid social app. But say you have some sort of dog product. Instead of going on Facebook ads or Google ads or all these other ads forms and like paying this platform to use their data to have this ad be shown in front of people who have a dog, you can use the hashtag system in TikTok, say hashtag dog toys, and you can do the same thing for say like iPhone cases or anything like that. So by hashtags, you can kind of direct this video into TikTok's algorithm to give it in general some sort of idea of what the video is about. And then when it goes into those people's For You page, if it's an attractive product and obviously most importantly an attractive video, then it's going to get hooked into that algorithm because it knows these people I've already shown that they're interested in this dog and they love dogs. So if all these people like this photo, like this video and watch a lot of this video, maybe these people over here who are similar to these people, kind of like the lookalike audiences in Facebook, maybe they'll like it. So then the algorithm will push it towards them and then it becomes a snowball effect. As long as it's a super good video and a super good product with a super good website, brother, you're paying $0 to advertise this product to a niche community.
Okay, and I know it works, but like it's a very real thing. Like people are finding success with it.
Yeah, like I've seen so many people's lives change because of organic TikTok, especially when 2020 started.
What are like some crazy examples or stories you have?
I would say the craziest one I have, I wish I could remember his last name, Ben something, but he lived in Portland. He started September 2020 drop shipping on organic TikTok, and he did I think $500,000 that month, and $500,000, I'm not sure if that was profit, but I know he had one day where he brought in $50,000 profit because most of drop shipping's costs are in the advertisements, you know? So when you take advertisement completely out of the equation and you're literally just using free advertisements, like how much money would you have to pay Facebook to get a video that has 10 million views on it?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. So is this the new wave then? Is this like the new thing?
So it's an interesting thing because there's so many people right now, especially right now, who don't have, $2,500 to buy a course and then $5,000 to support the idea that the $2,500 course funds, What the drop shipping culture now is, it's the lowest barrier of entry you could possibly ever get in human history from starting your own business because the Shopify plan is free, the advertisement's free, and then if you build your Shopify store, you can build it in a way that's free, and then you're not buying any product ahead of time. You're literally just selling a product that you don't even own. So it's just like down the line, free. Like eventually you have to pay for Shopify, but you don't have to extend the trial if you're not getting sales, So all the people who had that excuse now are probably going to hear this and be a little scared and intimidated because in their head, they're like, oh, now I need to find another excuse. Yeah. And that other excuse could be, I don't have the time. You got the time. If you're watching this video right now, you got the time.
Yeah, that's true. No, absolutely. No more excuses. Okay, so this really could be, so it is easier to get into now with this method than it was before. But is this like something that a lot of people are doing? Like, is it hard?
Yeah, so definitely it's way more competitive now than it was in 2020 when the app itself was really taking off TikTok. But also people really started to become attuned to what like this algorithmic free advertisement is, like 2021. It's like a bad example, but I'll give it anyway. It's like basically you're going to a slot machine, but every pull is $0. Like every time you start a store, it's gonna be $0, $0. And eventually, if you pull on a slot machine that you're putting no money into, but it's still allowing you spins, eventually you're gonna hit the jackpot. When before with drop shipping, you would have to, I would say to really test a product, it would cost you about $300 to $500. So instead of like going to this slot machine and doing, you know, $400, fuck, $400, fuck, I got to go back to my job. You know, it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So whoever puts the most time in and actually puts the actual like creative side of website design and video and all that, they're going to be the ones hitting the jackpot the most.
Interesting. Okay. And your course goes through all of this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that's what your course was about.
Yeah.
I truly, honestly didn't know.
Yeah. And in terms of the course, like I don't even sell a course anymore. Like I'm a Shopify commerce coach, which basically allows me to not only give my course for free, and this is no value funnel. Let's be clear. I have literally, I'm like Alex Hormozy. I got nothing to sell you. No mentorships, no masterminds, no consulting calls. I hate phone calls, so I definitely don't do consulting calls. No paid course. It's all teaching you how to drop ship using Shopify for free.
If you're watching this then and you have, I'm talking to you guys, if you're watching this and you have no other excuse, at least give this a try, is what you're saying. You should at least try this out if you're still interested in e-com and dropshipping.
Yeah, this is...
I actually ran a poll. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Remember what you were going to say. I actually ran a poll on my YouTube channel, and I said, what type of business are you most interested in? 33% of people said e-commerce, and that was like out of 20,000 votes.
It's funny because like as like the crypto and stock markets go up, I feel like the interest in e-com goes down.
Yeah.
And then when the markets go down, the interest in e-com
People
goes
are like,
up. So like I know a lot of people lost a lot of money. Some people life-changing amounts of money in this recent dip. So that's what's really magical about drop shipping specifically with $0 is because you're not risking anything. When you put your money into crypto, you're risking it. Like Luna, put your money into Luna, you think it's safe? 0. You put your money into UST? 0. You put your money into Bitcoin? Down 70%. This is beautiful because you're putting $0 into something that can potentially and has made many people millions of dollars.
I feel like we've covered it pretty well. When we went to breakfast today, we were talking about how we care more about experiences and not so much money. Did you ever think that you would get to that point? Because there was a point where you were chasing money a couple of years ago, right?
I knew for sure I'd get to it, like, and that's part of I think why I got here. It's like I didn't have a shred of a single doubt that it was gonna work. Like anything I've ever approached, like it started small. You know, it started with like I'm gonna drop out of college and then work as a busser for a year and save enough money to move to LA. I started off small. And I knew for sure I could do that. So I dropped out, I worked, and I did it. And then I'm like, when I get to LA, I'm gonna go and buy my first car actually, and I'm gonna be an Uber driver. I went, I got to LA, I bought the car, and I became an Uber driver. And while I was Uber driving, I decided I'm gonna start a drop shipping store, which is gonna be perfect because right now I'm not working for anybody technically, but when I start this drop shipping store, that's gonna allow me to stop Uber driving and then start an online business. And I know for sure that's gonna work. So I started the dropshipping store, it took off, I stopped Ubering, and it worked. So I had no doubt. Anytime I've approached anything in life with a shred of doubt, it usually doesn't work.
It's funny because when I did my podcast with Iman, he was the exact same way. And I'm not so much like that where I'm like, I know this is going to work. My thought was I have no other choice. So I'm gonna just keep trying.
Yeah.
So the end result's the same. It's like I have to get here. I don't know if it's gonna work for sure, but I don't have a choice. I'm gonna have to figure it out, even if I fail however many times. And those three mentalities contrasted to what's popular today, which people are the exact opposite today, right? Would you agree? Like
in terms of like what?
They have like a ton of doubt. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that's not
definitely.
gonna work.
Yeah.
And I noticed this, and I actually made a video about it, and it's called 2 Reasons You're Lazy and Insecure. My idea is that limiting belief in your mind is preventing you from doing whatever it is that you want to do so much. Nothing wrong because it's just like natural, like it's just natural human behavior. But I really want to put a lot of emphasis on that because I think that's a huge thing, especially going from where I was to where I am now. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Right. Like you kind of got to think about like if you had the ability to make your life heaven, what would it look like? Right? So if you picture that, you picture like how you would be living, how much money you'd be making, where you'd be living, that's your heaven on earth, right? And in the Bible, Jesus said in order to get into heaven, something about a mustard seed. What was it? You must have like doubt smaller than a mustard seed. That's all you're allowed.
With your faith?
With your faith to get into heaven. And that's exactly applicable. If you're like 90% sure something's gonna work, it's probably not gonna work. But if you're 100% sure, like I was 100% sure at every single moment that this is gonna work.
Where do you think that comes from? How do you cultivate that?
I'll tell you exactly where it comes from. It comes from everybody who told me the route I'm going on is the wrong way.
So you wanted to prove them all wrong.
Yeah, like I wanted, so like at the beginning when I started it, I wanted people along there to support me. And when the people I expected that would support me weren't supporting me, now I'm like, I have to do it. When I talked to Umar 2 years ago, Umar Ashraf, he said that the main reason that kept him going in stock trading, because he started day trading, he lost $65,000. And I asked him on the podcast, I was like, after losing $65,000 at, I think he was 19 or 20, like all of his life savings almost. I go, what kept you going? He goes, honestly, just all the people who told me that if I got into this, I would fail. Like day traders don't make any money. He goes, if it wasn't for all those people telling me I couldn't do it, I probably would have stopped, when I lost $20,000 or $30,000. And so I can relate to that too, because it's like so many people, and someone in like my friend's parents, I know for a fact, were saying like, don't do what he's doing because it's gonna fail one day, or he's not, or something like that. So like using that as fuel. I recently went through the 75 hard, as you know, and like something I use for fuel is like, say I was doing like an outdoor workout at 11 p.m. and I'd run by the bars. Every time I got close to the bars, I'd see all those people drinking, and that made me run so much harder. That made me want to hit another workout, because I'm like, I'm just seeing myself do something the complete opposite of what everybody else is doing. And I just get my fuel from that, especially when they tell me not to do it.
What men will do to avoid humiliation is incredible. Like to avoid being humiliated or like looked at as a failure, because if we're looked at as a failure, that cuts us deep. It's like an instinctual thing. Like we have to win. We have to make it work somehow. So if we don't, and we know everybody's going to look at us like that, it gives us a lot of fuel. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I want to talk about what we were talking about earlier at First Watch, about how, everybody, especially when you don't have a lot of money, or if you have no money, you have this perception on to chase money. And that's good and a bad thing. But one thing I want everybody to realize is chasing money, once you get it, really makes you realize that now what? And so I think it's really important to think about your now what. Like Naval says, first let's get you rich, then chase your dreams. Like you have to have, money isn't everything, but money is the component for everything basically that you would want to do. And so while you're on this journey, because so many watching are for sure on this journey of they were working for somebody right now and they just want to figure out a way out. When you find that way out, use that way out to scale as much money as possible, but the whole time realize that money is not going to make you happy. Like think about this. Say you were offered $1 million a year to go to jail for 20 years. Would you do that? Probably not, because in 20 years, you're gonna be like, okay, I got $20 million, but look at all this time I wasted. The best possible life I think you can live, I tweeted about this a while ago, there's 3 steps to life. Finding a way to make your own money, automating that money, and then chasing your dreams. And so many people get stuck on 1 and 2 that they completely forgot about number 3. So my advice to everybody out there is, while you're pursuing money and while you're making a lot of money, always keep in the back of your head what impact you want to have on the world, because the life is way more beyond what you just do for yourself. It's about what are people going to say about you when you're gone? What are people going to remember you for? Because we're living in the digital era where this is immortality. Like this is going to live forever unless the internet blows off the atmosphere or something. So whatever you're leaving behind, whatever passion that you're pursuing, just know that that's how you're going to live forever, and that's how you're going to be remembered. People aren't going to be talking about how much money you had. People are going to be talking about what effect you had on them and what effect you had on the world and whatever you did to make this place a better place while you're still here.
Incredible.
And I don't think that's talked about enough in like the money-making community. It's very like cutthroat, and I think it's so important to remember. Like we were talking about too, it's like people say, well, I don't know what my passion is. When you find something that you can do for 10 hours straight and you lose time in it, like the number one symptom of being passionate about something is doing something and then not realizing 3-4 hours just passed. And so hold on to those feelings and go after your wildest dreams. But fund them first. You got to fund them first.
Incredible way to end that. I would completely agree. So thank you so much for coming onto the channel and for all the wise words, Scott. For everybody interested, link in the description for your program, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The
absolutely.
algorithmic dropshipping.
Yeah, links in the program. Again, I got nothing to sell you. This is all free. I'm not putting you in.
How much is the program? Is it free?
The program is completely free. With it, you get a trial for Shopify, which is completely free. And depending on when you watch this video, since I am, again, a Shopify commerce coach, when you sign up for Shopify, you might get a deal where you might get a lot of time for free or like $1. It just depends on what Shopify allows me to offer you guys. So not only is the course free, not only is the way that I teach in the course a way to dropship for free, but the software you're using to make all that happen is free for the first 14 days for sure. And then beyond that, depends on when you're watching this, there might be a special deal as well. So cut all excuses out in 2022.
Okay, perfect. Definitely run that up. And Scott, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's put it there, and we'll see you guys in
Shout
the next
out
one.
Arizona.
Yeah.